Hello, guys. It is Christine here. Hello, hello. If you are new, welcome. If you are a subscriber, welcome. Thank you for tuning in again. It has been a hot minute since I have put up a video on my channel. Sorry, I had to pause to hear if that was like angry screaming or just kids playing screaming. Sounds like they're just playing. It's always a lottery in this house. I've told them to go outside and play together nicely and do not kill each other or hurt each other because Mama will be really mad because I haven't been able to film a video in so long. They're okay. I can see them from my window. If you are new, hi, I am a homeschooling mama and I share homeschool content on this channel. Sometimes I share generic motherhood content, but I've kind of been sticking to homeschool stuff lately. But I have not posted a video since a month ago. Maybe longer than that, actually. But yeah, I'm hoping to get back into my regular schedule now that life is slowly becoming a little more normal, kind of. If you want homeschool content, basically what I'm saying is please subscribe to my channel because I do want to put more stuff up here. It's just that life kind of threw us a curveball, I think, for most of us. And so things have been a little bit different. So this video is going to be a catch-up video because I have been totally scatterbrained for the last month. I don't know how you guys are handling this, but yeah, it's been interesting. A roller coaster for sure. So we all have our different experiences, obviously, because we all have different circumstances and things like that. And obviously we all live in different places. And even in the States, I've seen from one state to another is different. I'm in New Zealand. So over here, I'm just going to go right back to the beginning because this is kind of story time. It was a little bit of a dramatic start to our whole lockdown thing, and so I thought I would tell that story while I'm here and kind of just update you on what I'm doing and what content I have going forward. So let's wind it right back to about 4.5 weeks ago, about 5 weeks ago. The whole pandemic thing was starting to take hold, and my sister was due to get married in July of this year, 2020. I almost said 2019, 2020. And we were worried that she wasn't going to be able to have the wedding that she wanted. And so we decided that, she and her fiance decided that they were going to change their wedding date and just have a very simplified wedding, a very small gathering, and bring it forward to Easter weekend. And so I went up with my mom and my sister up to where my sister lives, and we spent the weekend changing plans. It was a roller coaster of emotions. It was crazy. I then came back, and that night, our Prime Minister announced that we were going to level 4 lockdown in 48 hours time. And that, to those of you who are in other places, is a stay-at-home order. But for New Zealand, it was very strict. So we had a stay-at-home order. Everyone was to stay home unless you were an essential worker. If you had to go anywhere, it was only to the supermarket, the doctor, that kind of thing. No retail stores were open. No takeout was open. Online stores were shut. And then they kind of revisited that and opened it for online orders only for essential items. So things like freezers and fridges and warm clothes and things like that, because we're going into our winter here. And so it was strict. So basically, we got that news. My sister's wedding obviously couldn't go ahead on Easter weekend because we were going to be in lockdown. And so my mom called me that evening and said, "Your sister is getting married tomorrow. Can you come?" It was crazy. It was crazy. So I drove back to my parents, and then we drove up to where my sister lives, and we did it. I went over that night. I got the news from my parents that my sister was getting married to the next day. And I left my home an hour later and for their place, stayed the night there, woke up at the crack of dawn and drove up to where my sister lives and got her ready to get married. Thankfully, she had her dress already. My sister-in-law is a florist, so they scrounged around for flowers. And we put together a wedding in her in-laws' backyard. It was beautiful. It was incredible. It was very, very special. And I was grateful to be able to take some pictures for her. I'll see if I can put in a couple of those here so you can see how they came out. I was really nervous because I just grabbed my camera on a whim and was because they hadn't even thought about photos. And I was you're going to be so sad if you don't have photos of your day. So thankfully we got some really good ones, and my brother was able to use his vlogging camera to film the ceremony for them. So it was very tiny. It was just immediate family, and it was just like quick, a couple hours, and we were done. And so that happened, and then I went back with my parents that night. I stayed the night at their place because it had been an insane weekend, and we live like an hour and a half from them, and my husband wasn't overly keen on me driving a further hour and a half after being traveling all day. So I stayed the night there and left very early the next morning to get home. And that was, I think, our last day of not being in lockdown. And then lockdown began, and I was like, okay, I have 4 weeks of having my husband home. I am going to blog and vlog my heart out. I'm going to get so much work done. Yo, it didn't happen. I filmed this video basically 4 weeks ago with every intent of editing it and uploading it, and it never happened because life happened. And as much as I wanted to work, I couldn't. Like, I just mentally could not do it. My husband was more than willing to help out. He did help out a ton while he was here. He did work from home quite a bit. He's in retail, but his dad owns a store, and so they did a lot of like computer work, And he did tons of cooking and everything, so he was incredible. But I just couldn't mentally focus. So not only did I not film here, because it was kind of impossible to film with everybody home all the time. We live in a very small house, and it's hard. It's hard at the best of times. And so with everyone home, it was like, no. So I didn't film, but I also reduced my blogging workload substantially. And it took me like a week or two to get on board with that. And then once I did, I was like, okay, this is actually fine. Like, I'm so grateful I took a step back. I don't know how everybody else has coped with it, but I just, mentally have not been able to focus very well. Like, I just want to, we're in isolation, and I basically want to isolate myself in a room away from everyone. Doesn't that sound terrible? Not because I don't love my kids or love being with my husband. I do. I love being with them. But I get like sensory overload with the noise and everything. And so I have been like really intentional about taking an hour or so a day and just going to my room and having quiet time on my own. And that has been great. So if you're struggling, I recommend doing that. My kids have their rest time and stuff, so it's not like they're just left unattended. We had 4.5 weeks of level 4 lockdown, and today is the 28th of April, the day that I'm filming this, and we're in our first day of level 3. So most business, I'd say, I don't know if most businesses, but a lot of businesses have been allowed to reopen, but only with contactless service. So like click and collect orders and stuff. Like, no retail stores are actually open for anyone to walk in and like peruse the shelves kind of thing. So my husband's back at work, and we're just carrying on with our normal routine. As far as homeschooling goes, we have kept schooling through the whole time. Now, in New Zealand, the way that our school year works is it starts in end of January, beginning of February, depending, and then it runs right through till December. And we have like 2-week breaks throughout the year, and then a bigger break at the end over Christmas and stuff. And we were supposed to have a 2-week break during this time over the Easter holidays, and I opted to ignore that and just keep schooling through, because our days were so kind of monotonous in the sense that there was no, like, every day was basically the same. And I didn't want to lose that routine. And so we kept schooling throughout so that there was a distinct difference between the weekdays and the weekend and things like that. And school takes us like an hour, so it's not that big of a deal. So we've continued through it. And going forward, I have a few videos I want to film because our school has definitely changed. Our routine has changed. The curriculum has changed. Not all of it. Like, I'm still using a lot of the same stuff, but I've definitely changed a few things, namely language arts. And I'll talk about that. But right now, what I need has to be shipped internationally, and everything's held up because of the current situation. So it's very frustrating. But anyway, we'll get there. It's okay. We're doing okay. So I'm going to do videos on that and videos on new stuff that I brought in, and I'm going to review some of those for you. So that is all going to be coming up. And it's kind of been nice because this time I haven't been filming. It's just given me time to use things and read and learn and just really work with my kids. Mainly Jack, because Annie just sort of tags along for the ride. But so all that is going to be coming up in the future. That is kind of my plan. But right now, we're in level 3 for the next 2 weeks at least. I'm really hoping that it doesn't last longer than 2 weeks, because I still haven't seen anyone. I still can't see anyone. Travel is still very much restricted, and I miss my family a lot. So yeah, I am struggling with that big time at the moment. Just missing them. I mean, it'll be like 2 months since my kids have. I mean, it is like 2 months since my kids have seen them, basically, or will be by the end of level 3. And that's hard when you have little ones and they grow so quickly. And I'm trying not to be ungrateful because my parents literally left the country with all their family in it and came here. And that was before email and texts and phone calls. And, I mean, you could phone, but it cost the earth. And they did it. And I'm like, I'm dying after 2 months, you know? So yeah, I'm very, very grateful that this will end and that we will get to see each other again and that it's not a permanent thing for us. Uh, yeah, but it's challenging at the moment. So I am thinking about all of you who are going through obviously a very similar situation. I know that some of you are struggling because like your stay-at-home orders are being extended. Ours, thankfully, I mean, it has worked. We have fewer than 400 active cases in the country now. Our daily infection rates are like in the single digits and have been for the last week. And everything's contained by the sounds of it. It looks like that it's that way. So it has definitely worked. But it's now like figuring out how to get back to semi-normal living safely. So yeah, there's lots of like frustration and sadness and then success and joy and like, you know, it's a roller coaster. So just know that solidarity because we're all in this together at the moment. We're all in different situations for sure and feeling different things, but yeah, it's hard for everyone and on varying levels. So I am thinking of you and let me know how you're coping with the situation in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you, how I can be praying for those of you who are really struggling. I would love to be able to do that. So share that in the comments below. How has your homeschool been affected? Are you someone who's been thrown into crisis schooling your kids? And has it made you think of potentially homeschooling them in the future? I know that there are a lot of families who are like that now or who have been like teetering on the edge and this has kind of pushed them over to like, oh yeah, sure. Okay, we're going to do this now. So I'm curious to know if you're one of those families. Let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, I'm going to try and get into a more regular schedule and get some stuff posted. And so yeah, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no war.